Welcome to the Sacred Rainbow Warrior. Hazel and I survived the cows. So I introduce Hazel once again. She's alive.
Hi.
She's alive.
Yeah.
The cow goddess came to visit us. They're over there. Don't know if you can see. Get my finger. There. They're right there. They got a bit close for comfort. Off camera, Hazel started another conversation about...
Well, you asked about going into the light.
For the feminine, her journey into the light,
And I said, and he said, be careful. and he asked, have you started that journey already? And I said, I think I have. So then I started saying, well, because I'm coming back into life and I'm coming out of this wild woman place and merging myself with my grace, let's say, I've been aware of some distortions arising, like looking in the mirror and thinking that I'm beautiful, and this sort of attraction to one's own vanity, which in itself is a trap, and it's part of the inflated ego. But it's a double-edged sword, because we are here to love ourselves, appreciate the bodies that we have, but also not to go too far and attach to that and think that we are that. So all of that is in the mix.
So this is how I help Hazel translate and amplify and bolster her. So this is me supporting feminine, right? So what I think I'm going to add to what Hazel's trying to the point you're trying to make is that when a woman goes from letting herself go because of all the abuse she's received, like putting on weight, not looking after her beauty, all of that stuff, and just not living her full life, when she starts to come into the purity of that and starts reclaiming her beauty, there's a real danger of embodying vanity, where, because women are so beautiful naturally, whether they're and that's, I'm talking inwardly first and foremost, is that if men stopped looking at, magazines and how women are supposed to look, they would see that everything they need is already there. But beauty is about the personification and embodiment of gratitude for your body and your being, and anything that surrounds your body, such as waste products of stored energy, memories, is fat trying to protect the soul, and so it is a distortion. So women either avoid ugliness or avoid vanity. And so those who avoid ugliness wear makeup every day just to fit in, which appears vain, but it's actually the women who make themselves ugly that are more afraid of vanity. Because when they look inside the mirror, they see beauty. But because of the abuse they've received from the masculine, they cover it up to protect themselves. Correct?
Yeah, gosh, you really put that very well.
And this is what I mean about me bolstering and amplifying what she's not able to put words to, but because she's taken her journey to reclaim that, she'll probably unlock her own feminine secrets of using her voice. And the only reason she's not able to do that is due to we spoke about this suppression as well. Remember we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, is toxic fire and toxic water. And so feminine is water, masculine is fire, and we have to purify our fire and our water in order to meet our emotions, our alchemy, our action, the alchemy of living a pure life and a relationship together, where you're able to create and make things happen without creating war. Because as I spoke about in a previous episode about the white void and the black void, those two are opposites, which in the distortion create war. And it's the same with fire and water. And so it's about that alchemy of coming together in purity, which sounds, I don't know how it sounds, but it's not simple. It's not simple. If it was simple, we wouldn't have war.
But
yeah,
it's so refined. It's really like we keep meeting these places where It's really like if your name's not down, you're not getting in, which is really like if your heart's not pure enough, you're not passing the threshold. You're not going through the portal. You're not going to pass the initiation
of love.
You're just not. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So you're going to meet those places where you butt heads, or you come into separation, or you actually create destruction, where you actually want to come together, but you can't. And this is why, like, one of your things is about exposure, like this technique of exposure that you're talking about, which is like the transformation of confession, essentially.
Yeah,
it's
it is, yeah.
You know, say what you've been avoiding, say what you've been covering up, expose it, share it. But the thing is that you can't do that if you're not with somebody who you know is not going to use it against you.
Someone
now,
you trust,
yeah, somebody who's chosen their own journey, who's also not gathering pieces of information to one day use against you, which is what I've had all of my life, used as abuse, right? Everything, every vulnerability you have is then used against you. Overcoming that, growing through that, and you bring that to your relationship. I brought that to our relationship. Me learning to trust again.
But we started as friends. We started as friends, right? And this is the key. I always talk about this. The key to everlasting true love is to begin with friendship.
Definitely.
And to stay best friends for forever and ever.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh goddess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, goddess. Yeah, we're in the land of the goddess after all.
And this is another thing, is that when people talk in Beltane about the frequencies of divine union and sacred sexuality, I realised when I was having my entering into the dark night of the soul, or my, whatever it was, nobody knew what love was. I had that stark realisation, which, and that came from my core of, actually, I thought I knew what love was. I thought I knew what conscious relating was. And I found myself in another abusive relationship. I didn't know. And I was humble enough to go, well, if I'm in this situation, if I'm living this separation, I don't know what love is.
Right.
I don't know what relating is.
Right.
And I was humble enough to sit in that place and allow that purification to happen. Whereas actually, like now, when we're coming into this season, this is why I'm so absolute integrity of my work, which is if I don't live it, I'm not going to share it or proclaim it or profess it. And that's why this journey has been so long. That's why we're not banging out videos, making products, etc., because we're living that journey of absolute integrity. And so in this season of love, this is really about the cultivation and the procreation of purifying this vessel so that true alchemy can happen.
I have a lot to say on this. Do you mind holding the phone? My hand's really hurting. What I feel like we're talking about, there's many themes we're talking about, but there's an overarching theme what I want to discuss here is war. And everybody thinks that war is, firing bullets and blowing up other countries over religion. And of course that's part of it, but the core of where it originates from is inside, between the feminine and masculine parts, because women are participating by allowing their partners to go to war, right? And the way this happens in everyday life, in relationships, and I'm going to do this on the one and the second line of consciousness, and then I'm going to relate it back to the first line of how it works inside. But when you meet a woman who is gentle and kind, like, how most men, they enter a relationship and you see the best side of themselves until they come into that narcissistic cycle of, first it's the idealization. Wow, you're the best girlfriend, you do all this thing, all of the things that a man wants that are out of alignment with true love. And then comes devaluing, oh, maybe you're not that great because you keep doing this. And then discard, which is really horrible. And then I'm hoovering, which is, I'm sorry, and the cycle repeats. And so then what happens when that cycle starts going on and on and on and on, doesn't end, where the masculine keeps going, I'm sorry, but, and then does it again, the feminine starts to get fed up of it, and she either cheats or leaves, or, which is more common, and this is why I'm bringing it up about war, is her masculine steps forward inside, the distorted masculine. And what normally happens is, because I use spirit animals to describe human behavior, the closest animal that represents war is the stag, when they come together and they get their antlers entangled, and sometimes they can die. Both of them can die because they get stuck and they die, right? And we've been through this. It's really difficult. We've had ceremonies where I think it was just a couple of months after the Ukraine war started. I think it's back in 2022. I'm not sure it's a particular date. And this collective energy came into our ceremony, and we had to address it. And we started fighting because we were embodying this war energy and we weren't aware of it. And so we channeled our guides, and they said, go to bed, right? So we just stopped the ceremony so that we could stop arguing and put it to bed, right? Now, when a woman's distorted masculine steps forward, it's not as strong as the distorted masculine. And so the masculine then becomes more aggressive and violent to overpower their masculine, and it creates war. And this is what's going on. This is what's going on. It's men against men. It's men against men. Remember we were talking about this yesterday, the dance of the masculine, because we're in the month of Taurus, right, which is about the bull. Toro! And the shadow of the bull, yeah, the shadow of the bull is bullying. And we've both been going through that. I've had my feminine side bullied by a distorted masculine feminine. And Hazel grew up with really severe wounds of bullying from distorted masculine in a woman and from men directly. And it's very quite hidden, even though the wound itself of when it happens is very grandiose, and no, it's right in your face. It's not covert, but the emotional wound is covert. It's very difficult to realise the wound of being bullied. But it's both. You've already been through a lot of it, but for me, it's come up this month and last month in Aries, where there's this uncontrollable fire of suppressing the divine masculine that wants to be in touch with his feminine side. And what happens is I trigger the F out of women who have a distorted masculine, because they come in with such a gentle energy. And they try to squash that energy, and that's their masculine doing that, right?
And can I add?
And yeah, I just want to finish that. And so that creates a self-fulfilling prophecy of their feminine side saying, "Oh, you raised your voice at me, even though she bullied me. Oh, you're not gentle. You're not a gentleman. You're not a gentleman. See, you're where I thought you were. You're beneath my feet." Right, and this creates further war. You see, it's horrible, and so you can't engage. You have to be in your integrity and just walk away. Right.
I've forgotten what I was going to say, but I just find, and hopefully you can start to see, like, when you're in healing partnership, you have to work through all of these, but you have to maintain your core. And this is why practicing this core that we were speaking about in the other video is so important, because you're not able ever to heal this dance of it, this intoxicating dance of it's your fault, no, it's your fault, it's your fault. You're never able to heal that, and that's why relationships end, because you're never able to get beyond that. But what we're doing is we're looking at that, and even when we've been in these dances, we're looking at it going, this is not us,
Yeah.
and we're letting that old dance go, and we're creating this new dance, this dance of unity, this dance of understanding, connecting, and finding, creating a path of love together again, and that heals bullying.
Yeah.
It heals it, and so many other things.
And I want to link this wound of bullying and war to the third line of consciousness, but first I just want to say that these videos are for my channel, probably not ready for prophecy walkers yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just letting you know. So I'll give you, so I'm talking about integration of the awakening that I'm going through. Hazel does it in her own way, but we're both working through integration steps, and the integration rules, not rules, but guidelines are the exact same for both of us. And one of those, so we're talking about war and bullying, that energy can be invisible, like I spoke about how it approached us in our ceremony, and that's over the other side of the world, but that energy still affects us, right? And it happens internally, so that creates conflict. So if, for example, I had been brought up by a caregiver, a feminine caregiver, to suppress my sensuality due to sexual abuse or something there a lot, something along those lines, then I would have that sensuality suppressed in me, and that wound would be mirrored in my partner, and that would be exposed in me, and that can create enormous, really deep triggers for the masculine. And so in order to protect the feminine inside, my masculine would step forward with really aggressive energy and say blah 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 at her, but she's just mirroring what's going on inside me, right? So that's me taking it from the second line of consciousness of us dealing with it between us, and then how it erupts inside and creates conflict. And so when she's not there and I'm on my own, and I have these distortions of, oh, I need to be more gentle with myself, and I'm like, oh, F that, I just need to get it done. Then that creates a shutdown of my senses, where I'm going, what I'm doing, how I'm feeling, and I start to feel depressed. Right? Because I'm suppressing my feminine side. I'm suppressing my gentleness, which means I start self-flagellation. I start harming myself. I go to war. It's conflict. And what is conflict? This is the spirit animal of the Merlin, the swordfish, believe it or not. Conflict comes from making a point, right? When people are trying to make their point, but it comes from a distorted place. It doesn't come from a place of love. It comes from a place of, oh, but I'm right. It should be this way. Like, for example, nature, right? A woman works more slowly in her cycles, her moon cycles, very slowly compared to a masculine. Yours is like a 4-week cycle, and mine's a 24-hour cycle. So I can drop stuff like that. I go to sleep, wake up, go, oh, I'm a new person.
And I wake up going, what did you say to me before we went to bed?
And so then she holds these judgments, and this is a very common mistake of the toxic matriarchy, is they like to frame the masculine for their own irresponsibility. And so we might have a massive argument, not an argument, but we might say something which didn't agree with the other. I would go to sleep, wake up next morning, I'll be fine, and she'd be like, she'd still be processing it. And I'm like, what is this? And this slowness of the feminine creates a huge fiery, aggressive impatience in the masculine. And you can see this in the world at large, where instead of waiting on the feminine to get what's truly in alignment with love, which would propel our whole civilization hundreds of years ahead of itself in advancement, they just go ahead and go, oh, I'm going to do it my way. And it comes through slavery. It produces slavery, control, commoditization, consumerism. Look at it. We've screwed up the whole planet.
Messed the whole thing up.
Yeah, because the majority of the planet is under rule of a toxic patriarchy, which doesn't mean to say there isn't matriarchy, but we've spoken about that. It's very invisible and it's hidden. But the feminine is a more pure vessel because of what I said about the impurities of the masculine, and that's a whole other story. But I'm going to bring it down to earth here on linking it to the third line of consciousness. So I spoke about the 2, then the 1, then the 3. So the 3 is, we're both in Glastonbury right now. It's Beltane. There's full-on ceremonies all over Glastonbury at the moment, and we're sat on our own in the middle of the field. Why? Go on, you say your version, and I'll chip in. Why are we not in that energy? Why aren't we celebrating with everyone? How does that affect your energy of integration?
Well, because I'm only just starting to come back to life, I'm very aware of...
From killing yourself, killing your ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of my energy field and what affects me, and looking after myself. And it's like I can feel everybody's energies. And because I'm practicing holding my own core, I have to go into social situations, but then I need to retreat and come back again, because I'm practicing holding my own energy
But it's
field.
almost impossible to do that when you're in such large crowds of...
Big crowds of people. It's very difficult to do that, because there will be like an undercurrent theme of energy, or a collective energy that is there.
Of control, normally.
Yeah.
Commoditization, consumerism, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and even in beautiful places like this, there's an undercurrent of that, because our society's not clean of it yet. So it's still there.
Yeah.
Even though there's a lot of beautiful things happening, it's still there. And I'm just learning how to be present with all of that right now. And
Well put, that was very eloquent.
yeah. In integrity.
Yeah, and grace, yeah. Impeccability. we were talking about this earlier. Do you want me to hold it?
Yeah.
When I was younger, when I was a kid, and growing up, and we were talking about this earlier, how when there are parades on the street and things like that when we were younger, it was all about the parade and being there and enjoying and joining in with the fun. Like I'm sure you've seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, right? That's a pure movie about what I'm talking about, where people are involved. But these days, people are distracted. They're distracted by their phones. They're distracted by buying things. Things are being sold. It's commoditization. People want to be in power. People want to overtake the parade. They want, look at me, don't look at that person, look at this one. And it creates a huge distortion energy. People drink too much, take drugs, whatever. And it's difficult to be in that energy, especially if you've just been through a purification 5-year, 6-year process after awakening.
And sure, you can have compassion, because everybody is just reacting off their unresolved traumas that they haven't been able to work through, haven't been supported to do that.
Narcissism.
Yeah. And we don't even know you're doing it. We don't even know we're doing it, And that's what's everywhere,
Yeah, but
we just have to have compassion.
Of course, but we must be realistic as well and practical about looking after our own energy, because what I'm talking about is war here, right? So we're talking about the third line of consciousness. The third line of consciousness is the collective or family, right? And it's absurdly sensitive and very manipulative and painful to work with distortions of family through the idea of guilt and blame and what you owe them and what you don't owe them and stuff like that, and all of that's a lie. But when you're working with strangers in a collective, say for example the festivals that are going on, it's just about energy, and that energy is invisible, right? Because it's energetic, comes from people's souls, from their body, and it can be overwhelming when you've been through multiple awakenings, especially like me, when I've just come out of a really sensitive, dark and traumatic awakening. I went so deep and so vulnerable that coming out I felt like my inner child, but in a man's body. And just listening to the wrong music or hearing loud noises was enough to make me go, you could relate that in old terms. You could say, oh, that's post-traumatic stress, and in a way, yes, that's true, absolutely. But this is I'm trying to translate the energies of self-preservation, but also feeling safe enough to be in life. And the integration for that is to go slow and to stay in your own energy. And when I mean go slow, I mean like literally physically move like a holy man or a holy woman, like a swan.
A snail.
Well, not that slow.
Move with grace like a swan. We'll do that.
Yeah, and to not be concerned by the horrible stuff that's going on, and continuing to create through the energies of peace and love and creation, instead of destruction and falling prey to that bait that leads you off your path. You know, you were bringing that up the other day.
Yeah.
About being led off the path by the narcissistic behaviour of others.
Yeah. Even small distractions, like, you know, if somebody makes a comment, like a snidey comment, or just doesn't like you, or their energy is just hostile towards you, all of that is bait away from for you to choose to betray your own heart and going, oh, them not liking me means that I'm a problem. For example, boom, you've bought the lie. You've betrayed your own heart. And this is what once you get to the core, learning to hold that wisdom. This is activating my voice chakra. Learning to hold that wisdom of being there for yourself. That's what this is about.
Which is the antidote to dogma. I don't think many people fully understand the spiritual essence of the evil that is represented by dogma. It's a reverse spell. If you spell it backwards, it's am God, so I am God. Because we are all a piece of God, but dogma teaches us to hate our humanity, and what it does as a spiritual spell, it makes us see that everything is outside of us, which means we project our energy outside of us, which means when we go out into a collective field of energy where there's lots of people, we get afraid because we see that we are outside of ourselves, which means the people who are around us look like they're inside of us and part of our field and manipulating and attacking us. And so when you reverse that spell and realize that you are your own person and that you stay within your own energy, then you're much better protected than, say, for example, putting a bubble of golden energy around you. And these might not be things that you feel or suffer right now, but they would absolutely come 100% guaranteed, would show themselves if you take the journey of purification. Because when you get deep enough, you will understand that dogma is like the evil CEO of slavery of the whole planet. I don't know why more people aren't talking about it.
It's way too comfortable to participate in it.
Yeah, because this is what happened to us, right? What's the definition of a pagan, right? You know, people who follow religion call it a cult, but paganism is the love of life. It's about being in life. That's all it is. It's that simple. Everyone's a pagan because you live by the seasons. You have no choice.
Yeah.
Right? You are pagan. And that's not a religion. It's not a belief system. It's a way of being. It's love.
With nature and love.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And dogma kind of creates a belief that you are lesser than God. And it's funny because when I was going through my integration process in Bournemouth, I used to go on a lot of walks to help me integrate what I was going through in ceremony. And I remember I came along some people who were sitting with Bibles on a bench, and I went and sat next to them and had a chat for Jesus. I thought, Jesus, I'm going to do this one for you, right? Because me and Jesus, we're pals, we're brothers. And so I spoke to them and I said, do you realise that we're all God? And they went, oh, no, we're not as great as God. And I was like, what? I said, so you believe that we're lesser than God? And they said, yes. And I was like, wow. So that's what dogma does, right? It proved my point. I learned that in my medicine journey, and then I went and integrated it by speaking to somebody who believed in dogma, and they proved my point that they believe they're lesser than God instead of seeing themselves as a piece of God. If God, imagine if God thought that we were all lesser than him. It doesn't make any sense at all. A divine being doesn't suppress his children, her children.
And then there's this other thing.
They help them grow.
Well, if you believe in God, you can't believe in goddess. so then therein lies another separation as well.
Yeah.
And actually, Goddess is within you. All the archetypes come. I can't remember where I heard or read this at some point a year ago or so. Was that when you start coming into wholeness, all of those archetypes. This is why it's so powerful to work with archetypes and the turn of the wheel and the seasons and everything, because when you start coming into wholeness, you alchemize, and even all of those archetypes that you've seen as separate parts of yourself, all these different parts of God, all these different parts of Goddess, as above so below, all of that starts merging. And this is where the innate comes in, and you become your own expression of that unified field of consciousness, which is that is the holy union, that is the divine union within your own expression of you as a soul incarnate in your body. And that's what's happening. And when that happens, there is no God, there is no Goddess, there's just a whole new reality being created. And this is the energy of creation.
Oh, I see what you mean. That's the prophecy of divine union.
Yeah. This is what is in my oracle. This is what I've seen. This is what it leads to, and this is why God is inside of you, Goddess is inside of you and outside of you. Everything here is the same as it is here. And when you start alchemizing yourself and working like this and living the actual innate indigenous birthright of being one in animism with the whole of nature. I'm feeling this now.
Me too. I'm in this field. Yeah.
We've entered into that field.
Creating a new dream.
Yeah. That we don't even have to talk about God or Goddess, or do you believe in Goddess or God or whatever, because you enter into this unified field. And this is what this new paradigm is about. This is what it's about, and this is where our journey is going in. This is where black alchemizes with white, and you actually realize there is no right, there is no wrong, but not at this surface level of stories. When we go through these portals of deep transformation, deep purification, not just, I've been feeling down for a month, I had a few cacao ceremonies, and now I'm going to come and teach you and hold ceremony for you. No, talking about years and years of really deep work where you can't even show up on camera and maintain your YouTube channel because it's so freaking powerful. You can't do that. It's so real. But then you get to these moments. And it takes time. This is why I always talk about my channel. I'm not going to give you bullet points. I'm going to listen to everything merging. And this is what's happened. It merges. You're talking about the frequencies of the masculine. I'm talking about the frequencies of the feminine. They all come together. The fragmentation starts merging. And then all of a sudden, boom. And that's what happened here. We enter into a new field of consciousness. A new realm of being, and that is what we've just entered into in this conversation. And this is how we live, this is how we work, this is what we do, and this is where the masculine meets the feminine meets the masculine. Finally, my voice gets liberated, and I'm able to speak coherently.
Boom.
Boom. That's what we're all about.
Because I held space and supported her. This is how. This is the pure place of the masculine.
Yeah. We did it.
Yeah.
Aww.
I'm not finished though. Because you mentioned animism, right? And as you were talking, I saw a red ant on you, right? Which is one of my spirit animals, and it represents community. So that was a message from Antoine. Right. So there is, we were talking about the third line of consciousness, right? Glastonbury tries to create a community, and it does a better job than most places in the UK, probably the whole UK, right? But it's still working on an old paradigm, and Hazel's talking about this new paradigm. And so this is what we're, one of our future missions is to create this new community where people understand that something new is available, to stop creating from the old. Last night we went to the Beltane ceremony, and there was, from a masculine standpoint, not from Hazel, from my own point of view, there was this incredible goddess ceremony, and then they brought out a maypole for the masculine, and to me it just went completely, excuse the pun, tits up. And because there's a lot more purification that needs to happen with the masculine, and because of that, and because of everything been spoken about on this, it creates distortions in community, and you can't create a real solid foundation of community because the synarchy has been overtaken by hierarchy. And so there's always somebody trying to fight to be at the top, in power, in control. And, might I add, this whole time I've been talking, I've had my hand unknowingly, unconsciously, on this beautiful oak tree. So why don't I ask if this oak tree has any beautiful wisdom to share with us?
Dear oak.
Just keep it on me, I'll see if I can channel the oak. So I'm getting the word temperance. So I normally get a word and then I elaborate. Temperance. The field of temperance is open for mankind. This is a beautiful time to sit within oneself, to not suppress the flame, but calm the flame and stroke the waters. Allow the purified parts of self to surface. Fire with air, water with earth. Combine the Combine the elements, through love. The elephants represent spirit animals which are very much in alignment with the earth grid. So I think this is something about embodiment, grounded embodiment. Living in harmony takes two, within and without. It takes, I'll say the words that it was actually saying, it takes two to tango. Right, it is about the dance, you're right. The dance of the feminine and the masculine isn't a dance of war. It's a dance of joy and love. As we stare into each other's eyes, we hold each other and we dance a new world into creation. Love is what holds us. Love is what guides us. Love is what shows us who we truly are in each other's eyes. For we are one. Namaste. Okay.
Beautiful message.
Wow, everything's bright green now.
Yeah, your eyes are just completely bing.
Yeah.
Bright.
Did any of that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Thank you, Alistair, for channeling this beautiful oak tree that we're sitting under. Look at that. Whoa.
And so I'm doing these videos as well to promote my book, which is called The Art of Integration, a Book of Love, which is one of 4, I believe, about how to integrate your awakening on a journey of, how do you say, like spiritual changes, plant medicine. I've worked with a lot of people who haven't even touched plant medicine, but all of it resonates. And it's about how your life and your journey shows the art of your journey and how you are that art. I talk about ceremonial awareness, integration techniques and stuff like that. But Hazel's got the incredible Soul Prophecy Oracle coming out soon.
Yeah.
So she just sent off the design for first.
It's with the printers now, so it's starting to come out of my hands and it's going to get into your hands. because it needs to
Yeah.
be with people. If you really are into integrating, embodying, living the journey, your soul journey, your own soul prophecy, which essentially leads you to divine union, love, connection, and unity. If you're into that, you will want my oracle,
Yeah.
and then your book to integrate it.
Yeah, so my book is like a companion journey on how to integrate the path of true love and divine union and soul embodiment.
We've got the cows.
The
again.
cows are back. Yeah, so, and you got an exhibition?
Yeah, that's coming up this June, so I'm going to be talking more about that in time to come.
Okay,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Get involved.
Yeah.
Lots of love.
Thanks very much for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.